skål. Vi kör. Okay. Yes.
Let's do it.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Ola. Today I'm extremely excited to have Jens Bogren right here. Look at that. He's sitting right in that chair. Amazing. Incredible producer, engineer, and also he runs his own business, Bogren Digital, which is becoming a very, very strong digital, I would say on the guitar side of things, very strong in the market. And you've been growing really, really fast. But let's just first welcome.
Thank you.
And how are you? Are you good?
I'm pretty good, yeah. A little bit shaken up since this morning because I've never been to this area before.
Okay, yeah.
And coming in, I was frisked twice by the police because of shady looks and driving a Volkswagen.
Yep.
This is the posh area. For me, it's kind of like coming from fucking Flint or something into the Upper East Side of New York.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I made it, so.
I mean, they frisk me every day.
Yeah?
I live here. So, could you please tell me a little bit about yourself? What's your upbringing? Just a little short little bio.
Do you want to know about my upbringing?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. All right. So I am metal producer. Been working with a few bands over the years.
Few bands.
And
I brought the list. Hang on. Okay, I'll bring that up later. But yes.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I'm pretty fucking old by now. I mixed my first album back in '96, I believe. But I went full time with my studio production thing since 2002, which I named Fascination Street Studios, which is stolen by a song from The Cure, which was kind of influential band for me when I was sad and growing up, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, I actually come from a little bit of a different background because I was basically raised in what could be seen as the Christian version of IS in Sweden.
Okay, great.
So I was sort of robbed from a lot of like metal knowledge and stuff growing up, because I did listen to metal, but mostly like really Christian bands, like Deliverance and Mortification and White Cross and stuff. Bands that no one really has heard of unless you're in the Christian community, kind of. So, and so I guess at some point during my teenage years, I guess my teenage revolution was to start listening to the proper stuff, so to speak. So I guess that's kind of how I went into this. And
what was that then?
Well, I guess during that age, like 15, 16, 17, I got into the more like a little darker kind of genres. Paradise Lost. When I was 17, I had Greg McIntosh and Nick Holmes above my bed.
Awesome.
A band that I later actually I produced 2 of their albums, so that was a weird experience. Side note, fetching them from the airport, you know, it's like driving, it's like that was a very surreal experience. Thinking back on, you know, jacking off a 17-year-old with them above my bed.
Yeah,
so.
sure.
Yeah, and so I guess those years I was formed into the that kind of like gothic and goth metal, but also, you know, like post-punk and some synth stuff. So Sisters of Mercy, The Mission, those kind of bands, sort of, and The Cure was very important for me during those ages. So, but yeah, I was playing in this band called Elusive Cure, stolen from a song by Paradise Lost, by the way. And I guess that's the time when I really got into producing and recording, because I was attending this media school in what we call the gymnasium in Sweden, which is like ages...
That's high school, I think.
I guess, yeah. So...
It's before college or before university in Sweden.
Yeah, like 16 to 18 approximately. So we had access to this really excellent studio And we had access like 24/7, so I
wow.
was basically spending my life there during those years, recording bands and my own bands at the time. But I sucked at guitar, so I had to pursue a career of doing something else,
Yeah.
which then became recording and producing.
Yes.
So yeah.
So back then, obviously, that was like mid-90s or something like that, you
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
It's funny because, you know, a lot of the new producing styles and mixing and engineer is obviously through digital and computers and all that. But when you started, it must have been like ADATs and stuff like that, right? Like analog stuff. And, you know, digital was just becoming a thing back then, you know, with digital desks and all of that. So, I mean, do you feel that knowing the hardships of that era makes it a lot easier now when you're, or can you really appreciate now the ease of just all the computers and all the technology at our hands that we didn't have back then?
That's a good question, but I think I'm really lucky to have experienced that time, because you didn't have all the, you know, the extra, all the surplus equipment. You had just this. I had this like Mackie console,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and ADATs that gave me like tape spaghetti all the time.
Yeah.
Like
For you who don't know, ADAT is basically looks like a VHS.
Yeah.
And it was 8 channels. So if you wanted more than 8 channels, you had 2, and then you sync them, and you know, you had tapes running around, and tape 1, tape 2, and A, B, and it was. It's not as easy as today.
No, it was horrible. And when you were printing mixes and recording, you had to wait for them to sync up.
Yep.
And then you always had this machine that didn't sync up, and it's like, oh,
Yep.
the singer didn't get any keyboards in the monitors until like halfway through the verse when when it synced up. I was at different times.
That just occurred to me. Word clock is not used that much anymore.
Well, maybe
Like
not.
sync clocks.
Maybe not in your studio.
No, not in my studio, but just in general for just home recording and all that. No one gives a shit.
It's true. It's true. People don't even know, you know,
what it is.
No, and a lot of units kind of handles that pretty well, I suppose. But with all those integrated solutions, you don't really think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Until people have a problem, obviously. So.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I've had my share of problems with.
Did you
word
cut
clock.
any tapes back in the day?
Yeah, I mean.
I guess that's part of practice in school. Like if you were doing that, you probably had to cut like 1/4-inch tapes.
Yeah, not in school, because this was like '95 and onwards, and the digital tape recorders already was a thing. So we only worked with that. But when I started my first studio, I actually took over a studio because the guy that had the studio moved to Knutby.
Oh,
which is
awesome.
a
It's
side
another
thing,
religious sect. Okay, great.
Anyway, and there was this Otari 24 track tape recorder there. So there I actually had to do that.
Okay.
So I learned that later. So I started with the ADAT things. But having that, you know, 3 ADATs, Mackie console, and just like 2-3 compressors in the rack, and a Lexicon reverb, you really had to learn it ground up, you know, understanding the routing and why things are in a certain way.
Channel strip and all that.
And being limited to this amount of tracks as well. That was, I think that was a blessing. On the other hand, it probably took you longer to get somewhere, because there was, you know, you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have information. It was only later when like gear sluts came around and you could start fetch some information of that.
Were you on the Andy Sneap forum?
No, not really.
No.
That
was like 2001.
Yeah, and I was more at the gear sluts kind of thing, but where the, you know, top level professionals hung around, so I felt you could really learn from there. But yeah, different times. So I guess for me, in a way, I'm lucky that I was learning from ground up that way. On the other hand, it was a bit hard for me in 2007, I think. That was the first time I mixed completely inside the box.
Okay.
Because I later started to work with different consoles, and I I've had 3 SSL consoles in my various studios, and that has been like the main console for me.
Yeah.
Like growing up and learning how to mix. So I kind of felt that mixing inside the box is shit, doesn't work.
Yeah.
But then I saw these people like Andy Sneap doing everything inside the box. I
Yeah.
realized, I gotta have to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
And everything sort of changed, with Napster,
Yep.
budgets completely
Ruined.
out of yeah, and people started to record on their own. At the same time, the technology advancements made it possible for people to kind of record on their
Yeah.
own. So more and more projects were mixing only, and more and more projects were delayed because people didn't know how to record and
Right.
didn't have a producer that could help them keep the deadlines and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was in a situation where it became impossible to have this console, even though it had recall. It's not really recall,
No.
It takes a day to
Yeah,
to
to just
recall.
set it
Yeah.
up.
So I just had to find a way to juggling all these different productions, and so the first album that I mixed completely inside the box was a production I did with Eamon Amarth called Twilight of the Thunder God.
Yeah.
So yeah, at that time I, sort of made it a challenge for myself. So I need to mix this album completely in the box,
Yeah.
and it worked out. And after that, I guess the SSL console was more used for recording and as a, as my
A
desk.
console for the volume, like just looking good and.
Not even
Or
that.
did,
Yeah,
did
yeah.
it even reflect the volumes? And are you using Pro Tools or?
Yeah, Pro Tools.
Okay, so the faders weren't even.
No,
much of
it
yeah.
became more like a desk for my mouse and keyboard. So,
Great.
I made that transition, but it was tough, relearning stuff. So in a way, these days I'd say it's much easier to get into these things because you have all access to all this, just inside of a laptop. On the other hand, I can imagine being a fresh producer today or learning these things, just the vast,
So much information.
yeah,
Where do you want to start?
exactly. And when you start to dig into trying to get the information, or learning, then you realize that there are so many producers doing courses and stuff, and it's
Yep.
like you could easily end up in a situation where you just spend too much time watching how people are doing instead of actually doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Which was the case for me, I couldn't watch anyone, I was just doing it myself.
Yep.
And of course, listening to those albums that I liked, how the hell do you get that snare sound?
Yep.
And, trying things out, and so
I-
yeah,
I think that, that's how you did it back in the day. You were like, okay, I did that all the time. I wanted to mimic the guitar sounds of Nevermore and Testament and all those bands. And, I was like, okay, first you try to find the information. What were they using? Like Pantera, for instance. I only knew so little. But then you had to sit and really try yourself, because like you said, the information wasn't out there on how to make that sound like. So you would sit and tweak forever and ever and ever. Now we're in a preset area where everyone can just load a preset, and they don't necessarily need to know how a compressor works or like how you would use it in an environment like you had to learn it. And now most people, it's like, okay, just adjust the threshold and it will fit with this preset or whatever. So it's really, how is that? Just the general knowledge of how to mix and produce. Like, it feels like it's not really needed as much today because people have all these presets and all that. So in one way, I'm going on a derailment right here. In one way, it separates the real guys that are doing it for real. I mean, you know what you're doing, with all the other guys that, just run their YouTube channels. And shit like that. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but I feel that we've entered a preset era of production, basically, where it's like, okay, we slap on a compressor. When you see a video for, okay, how to compress drums, do this, slap on this compressor, this preset, done. Other than actually using maybe the tools that you already have, and you end up with 500 plugins instead.
Yeah, I mean,
That was a very open and not even a question. It was just a
that's fine.
basis of discussion, I guess.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I wish it was that easy because then I would do that myself.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
The problem is that a full production, containing from maybe 50 up to 300 channels
Yes.
in a song. It's so complex, the how things work, and when you produce that properly, we talk about committing to tape. When you finding that sound when you actually record it.
Yeah.
Everything is sort of affected by everything.
Yes.
The way you tweak your main rhythm guitar sound will affect the way you need to work with the drums, and the presets can't really know this, right?
Yeah.
So you can get pretty decent results with presets, but if you want to get like top level results, unfortunately, it's still you need that experience, in those years, because the only way to learn how to mix is to mix a lot.
Yes.
And you have to train your brain into mixing, into not, really thinking too much. It is really complex. And when you talk about the preset area, that's pretty interesting because I think that's like halfway to where we're going next.
Yeah.
Which I believe is like artificial intelligence taking over these things.
Analyzing and
Yeah,
putting the preset based on the material.
exactly.
basically.
Yeah. So if you were in a situation where you had to do everything manually, then you can craft that together. Now you're in like preset land where people can get things to sort of sound good, but still would have to manually make things adapt to each other. I think the next step, having AI, can definitely bridge that into probably getting pretty good results in a not too distant future. I think the AI solutions that are available right now are still pretty,
Basic.
yeah, I would say so. It's more like focusing on its own thing rather than seeing the big picture.
Yeah.
But having an AI engine that could see the big picture and making that work, that could be the end of us all.
Right. But I'm also thinking.
Skynet mixing your album.
Yeah. But at the same time, that as with AI, coming into more and more fields like in photography and graphics and all that, I still think that exists, but it makes the artist more special in a way, in my opinion, because then you have there's always going to be you can record from home and record your stuff at home and use TuneTrack, Easy Drummer or whatever, but it's always going to be something else when a complete artist takes care of the production. And I think this, just like with photography and graphics and all that, I don't think we're gonna, the style of the person will not you won't have a style with AI. I think it's hard to have your own style with AI, but you have your own style and you have your own sound, and that becomes more important then probably, and that will become so maybe it can be good for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying that, well, I did say that it's gonna kill us all, but I do think that it's gonna, it's not just this field, it's obviously everywhere.
Yep.
In the all kinds of fields. I think AI will take over a big part of the function, and it's just something that I believe is going to happen. I'm not saying that it's going to be good or bad or anything, but I think it will also serve as a help for people, and a lot of artists are going to be able to do really good or very decent productions on their own. But of course, there will always be like a top level of artists and producers that are gonna sort of take pride in their albums not being written by AI, not being produced by AI or mixed by AI, and that becomes sort of a quality mark in its own.
Much like people would use plugins or guitar amp plugins, but still like. Some producers, they still want to reamp with real stuff, and even at some point, reamping is cheating. The other thing is that the guitar should play and record through the amplifier, to get that real feeling and all that. So I mean, you can always. It just goes to so many different levels of like, okay, how true can you be, and how much art? I mean, art is subjective, obviously.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm also to blame here, obviously, about I have this Bogren Digital software thing. Like you say, we do the guitar, drum stuff, and etc. So I'm definitely adding to the field of the preset
No,
based.
you're just moving it. You're moving with it, because I mean, if you're not, I think you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
You know, you have to. You're creating tools for the home recording musician. So basically, you're taking away a little bit of your work and giving it in the hands of the home recording artist.
Yeah.
But I mean, that saves you time to, you know, you can take all these top bands and make their albums and all that, and then you can say no to the small bands because they can just buy your plugin instead.
Yeah. No, but I must say that this side business of mine with the plugins and everything has been very, very rewarding.
Yes.
And I'm not talking financially here. I'm talking about, like for example, right now, I have a window now with a few weeks where I'm working only on a bunch of products actually that we're gonna do. And right now I'm spending the whole week just trying out lead guitar sounds for a suite that we're doing with a big American band.
Okay.
And like an artist thing. And I would never be able to do that otherwise, you know.
Yeah.
And I felt that with these amp knobs we've been doing,
Yeah.
like the Rev C and everything, I've been spending time on trying to craft like really, really good sounds in a way that I would never do otherwise.
Right. You would not sit like that for that long with an album production, for instance.
Exactly.
But now you're making the amplifier, you can sit and really nerd out.
Yeah, and it's given me opportunity to even, you know, 25 years into my career, going, you know, steps in my development that I would never have taken otherwise.
Oh, that's cool.
So it has been really fun that way.
What is the most like successful plugin that Bogren Digital has? Is it the amp knob or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first, I mean, you know, they start selling, right, and then they all climb up. And the first one of the plugins that we released was the Rev C thing, and that one is the most like popular one so far. And then we also have this like BDH bundle, and that one has been very popular as well. So, but yeah, it's moving on.
Awesome. So I'm going to bring out the list because you've been working with so many good bands, man, and on some like really good albums too. Let me just read this list. You know, with Catatonia 2003, like
that was my break.
That's why it's first on the list. But worth noticing is that you had albums before 2003, obviously.
Yeah, the Wikipedia is not complete, but
no, I guess.
But that album, the Viva Emptiness album.
Oh shit! It's your birthday soon.
Oh shit! Viva Emptiness album by Catatonia. That was the first time that I did an album that got like international sort of recognition.
Yes.
So I started to get all kinds of, you know, emails from bands from Italy, US.
It opened Pandora's
Thailand,
box.
whatever. Yeah. So after that, it was sort of downhill.
Well, 2004, Nightmares Made Flesh, Bloodbath. That's a favorite of mine.
That was an album that I produced that I guess was a direct result that Opeth contacted me for Ghost Reveries. Yeah, the Ghost Reveries album is probably the one that's been the most important for me to produce. Because that sort of moved along with their career. I don't know if you remember, but Music for Nation, they went bust.
Yes, that's right.
So a lot of albums a lot of artists were basically released from that label. So Opeth was shopping for a new deal. And they were looking for a new production team, which was the production team here became. And they signed with Roadrunner. And that became a real big thing for them. And I sort of moved along with that and was managed to help them step up with the album as well. And so after that, it's been yeah, it's been
yeah, I was just about to say that. So OPEF, that goes to Everest, you have stabbing the drama with the SolidWorks.
Well, that is Daniel Bergstrand.
Okay.
Doing it in my studio. I was involved partially on that
Okay.
album, but I'm not gonna take.
All right,
big
okay.
credit
But
for
you
that.
have Amon Amarth, Pain of Salvation, Symphony X, Paradise Lost there. OPEF, Watershed. Was that your whole production?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's one of my favorite albums. More, God forbid, Paradise Lost, 2008. Was that the moment where you felt like, holy shit?
Yeah.
You know, like a white whale thing?
Yeah, they have this northern UK, northern British accent.
Yes.
That is almost impossible to understand
Yes.
if they talk, among themselves.
Yes.
So I was basically driving up there. I usually don't do this, I let the
Yeah.
artists take care of themselves. But for them, I kind of felt, I'm gonna rent a car, a
Yeah.
van,
Yeah.
go up, fetch them and their equipment, and it was really weird. And I was like, what was that? I was like 2008. I should
Yes.
be able to 29 at the time.
Okay.
Maybe 28, 29.
Yeah.
So still, they were like considerably older than me.
Right.
And I was supposed to be the producer, and it was weird,
Yeah. Did you record Adrian too?
Yeah, I did the next album as well,
Yes.
Tragic Idol.
Yeah.
So that was with Adrian, yeah.
Yeah. The list just goes on, man. More Catatonia, more Soilwork, Isan, James Labrie, Enslaved, Creation Tears, Amon Amarth. Like, it's just chaos divine. More Symphony X, Draconian, Devin Townsend, Deconstruction.
Yeah,
It says mixing.
yeah.
You did More Staden, mastering
Oh, yeah.
for Vildhjärta. And also here,
Mixing, I believe.
mixing too.
Yeah.
Dude, this is so inaccurate. But also one of my wife's favorite bands, Leprous.
Oh, yeah.
Since you started doing Leprous, you basically made almost all of their
Now,
stuff.
I did like the first 5 albums or something.
Yes, exactly.
Before they grew tired of me.
But you did. Where's it? Oh shit! We're only in 2011, 2013. But there's more. There's Rotting Christ, Dark Tranquility, Haken, The Ocean. I mean, it's Dragon Force, Arch Enemy, At the Gates, obviously. Noble Viscaris. It's very broad. Like, it's not a niched metal. You're doing so wide of different genres.
It depends on who you ask, I guess.
Okay.
I mean,
For me, this is very wide.
my wife thinks it's very narrow.
Of course. But no. Moonspell, man.
Yeah,
Holy shit. Did you listen to that back in the day?
yeah, I did.
Yes. That's one of my favorite albums, though. Soilwork. The list just goes on, man. Baby Metal. How was that even? Like, did you meet him?
No, I didn't. It was mixing. So
Yeah, okay.
I mixed for a few albums and like a live album, I think.
Right. Oh, you did Nick Johnston too. Sepultura, obviously, and I can go on and on. But like, what? Can you name a couple of these? Like you said, some of these are more important than others. Obviously, like the first Catatonia album, for instance, where you. But are there any? Is there an album you're especially proud with?
Yeah, I think that every time when you get to work on an album where you feel that you actually help the band,
Yes.
moving forward.
Actually producing,
Yeah,
which includes, arranging a little bit and stuff
yeah,
like that.
exactly. At least for me, I really enjoy that. For example, a band like Amorphis that
Yes.
I've been working a few albums with. They've even called me the 6th member, and
Right.
they give me a lot of freedom, which is I really enjoy
Yeah.
being part of that. Maybe except for when you get like a Dropbox of 50 songs and you have to choose the ones to work with. So.
Right.
But there are a few moments like that. I guess Amon Amarth with Odin on Our Side, that was like a really big step up for them, the first album that I
Yeah.
produced with them. Same with The Creator, actually. I produced an album called Phantom Antichrist. And they used to be a really big band, and they are a big band, obviously, but they'd had like a drop in their
Yes.
career a little bit. So with that album, they got onto the big stages
Yes.
again. So I'm not, I just did, but I'm not taking the credit for that.
The credit.
No, but when you can be a part of.
Oh, you are a part of it.
yeah.
It's your sound.
Yeah, of course, but not only the sound, helping them with the songs and when things move forward like that. Opeth, of course, but that's really fun, you know, to be a part of that kind of journey a band can take, or a band that, you know, if you help them with their debut and it becomes really popular. So there are a few of those. I also feel maybe I've produced 2 Sepultura albums. The first one there, Phantom Antichrist, I think it's called. No, sorry, that's the Creator album. Jesus Christ. You know, I'm all on...
It's a lot of albums, man.
Yeah.
These pages, these are 4 pages of just albums.
Machine Messiah is called, the Sepultura album. That was also quite a big step up again for them. So that was fun, you know, having Andreas Kisser in the studio and telling him that he, you know, that he needs to do his solos better. So.
How did it take that?
He's really mad. I think that there's a documentary on that where he kind of, you know, goes bananas about it. Taking a guitar, throwing it out in a pond that I had outside the studio, shit like that.
But you need, like, that's the thing. That's the producer's job, though, because if no one says anything, it's just going to be safe.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, if people just sit I'm just drawing a parallel here to myself, because what I do everything myself. But I know it's going to be better if someone pokes in my side, you know. No, change that, or, you know, do this and this. So, you know, the producer's job is really important in that sense.
Yeah, and that, I think that side that really differs depending on the band as well, you know. Sometimes I'm hired to do the sound, and they are not very open to do anything.
Absolutely.
One example could be Dimmu Borgir, for example. I produced an album with them, and it's like, you know, no touchy. No,
don't touch the artist.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And whilst other bands are very open to anything, you could basically chop songs up, you know, combine 2 songs into a new one, and they would just be happy, you know, as long as it gets better. So it's completely depending on the artist and also the chemistry, maybe.
Yeah, it's an incredible. I mean, this list is just incredible. And it seems like you have so many projects per year. Like, it's a lot of albums per year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess back in, like we talk about, after the Napster area, after 2007 maybe, it became more and more about mixing. Obviously, I'm still producing albums, but back in the day, it was always, you know, full production. You work with the album, you finish the mix, send it off to mastering, or I did the mastering myself. And then the next band was knocking on the door, and you started there. So you could do maybe, you know, 4, 5, 6 productions a year that way. But these days, I do maybe 1, 2 productions a year. And the rest is mixing and mastering. So especially then with the mastering, you can do quite a lot of albums. So the list sort of grows faster these years than it used to do. So.
Okay, awesome. I want to ask you a little bit about like your favorite amplifiers and shit like that. What do you like? What's your go-to amplifier? There's a band coming, metal band, sounds like Arch Enemy, for instance. Like they ask you, okay, reamp these tracks. What's your go-to amplifier?
I mean, I prefer not to have a go-to amplifier, if you know what I mean, because I don't want to be in that kind of...
You don't want to be the rectifier bracket guy.
No, I don't want to be the guy that always has the same...
The Andy Sneap tube screamer into rectifier kind of deal.
That's harsh. But
well, he was using that a lot back then.
And I mean, I've also been using the same kind of rigs, of course, but I try to have a bunch of them, and I try to... If there's something that has been sitting there unused for quite some time, then I put it, you know, further back in the storage, and I try to get something else, you know, and try to get into rotation, so there's always something fresh rotating. And I always do this ground up. I don't have like one setup that I always use. Every time, especially every time I do a new production, then I always do that, you know, go the extra mile, spend that extra day just on trying to nail the rhythm guitar sound for the album. And then maybe that setup sort of stays for some time. I get it in my like summing mixer for microphones. I usually have a bunch of microphones, and then I can craft from there into the next album that I mix, maybe.
Okay.
And if that doesn't work, then I would do a new setup and that kind of thing. So I sort of keep it moving. But yeah, I have this Rev C Mesa.
Yeah.
Like it's what they call the pre 500
Yes, exactly.
series. And I guess I was kind of lucky, because when I bought that, I didn't know about pre 500. I didn't know about the different versions. I just bought it so long ago, and but then I realized that I guess there's a reason why I like this amp so much, because it seemed to be like the golden area there. So I've been using that a lot with various pedals.
Yep.
I have too many different different types of overdrives and incarnations of the Tube Screamer, etc. So I have a diesel VH4 that I've been using a lot as well. I did use it a lot for rhythm guitars during some years. I guess it's more common for me for solos and leads these days. But it also differs. I've been when we did this BDH bundle, I bought so many 5150s.
Different incarnations.
And really dug into that, with the different...
block letter and signature letter. And
different kinds of tubes and the stealth, for example. And I did find that the stealth one is really, really good. And I do have the block letter, which is absolutely amazing as well. And I had the white one, the, what's it called? EVH.
Yeah, the first EVH.
Yeah, also very good.
Yeah.
So those...
so you're it's still classic metal amplifier. These were the 90s amplifiers, man. You had the rectifier, the 5150. They're just like staples a little bit.
No, but I also like the Bogner Ecstasy. It's really good. I have been using the Savage 120 a lot. Also the second edition one there.
Yes.
I also have an old JMP that I use a lot for the little bit more rockier sounds, and I have 30, 40 amps, so I try to keep them in rotation, basically. So
that's cool.
But I guess over the years now, when I tried so much and also doing these products where I really scientifically tried to find the best kind of sounds, I guess but you're right, it sort of kind of comes down to these classics, they're classics for a reason. And it feels like a lot of the new stuff that's being created and released are usually based on,
of course,
something that sold well. So, but you could also, I think you have a video where you sort of showcase this, that the actual amp is a part of the sound, obviously, important part, but in the end, I think that the cabinet is way more...
80%. Like the amplifier is the response of the initial attack.
And the frequency response that the amplifier, the cabinet gives is, in the end, more important.
So what's your favorite cabinet speaker microphone combination?
Oh, that's so boring.
I know, but it has to be asked.
Yeah, I know, but it's boring because my answer is boring. Because I do have, that was another one of those lucky moments for me, because I bought this Mesa oversized way back. And that has just, I've tried so many, and I've have never been able to I have many that I like and many that I use, but that's still if I would have to go to a desert island that somehow had power, I would probably bring that one. It's a slanted one, it's not the straight one. I have the straight one as well, but I prefer my slanted one, which is, I guess it is 2002 or something. Or 2001 maybe. And the upper left speaker.
Oh, you have a favorite.
That is really good. And I usually put a lot of microphones on. I always do this, but I have so many 57s, and they all sound different. And I have a few favorite ones. I have one that is like a Mercenary Audio. I don't know if you I don't know if you know the American distributor Mercenary Audio, but no. They made this version where they had a custom transformer in it. That one always sounded really good to me. I also have the transformer-less ones where you remove the transformer. Then you can sort of gain some extra treble and.
Okay. It's funny you say that because my best SM57 that I have plenty. The best sounding one is a 58.
Oh yeah. It's a Bob Rock trick.
Yes,
actually, so,
exactly. So that just a funny little side note. But also, like you said, the Mace Oversize is also one of my favorite cabinets, and it's always like the. I mean, it's a style. I really like T75 speakers as well and all that, but it's just like. It just fits really well everywhere.
It does.
The sound, I mean.
Yeah, but I should say a little bit more about the microphones. There's some nerd that thinks it's interesting. But I also really enjoy the SM7 for guitarists, and I think a lot of people ditch that one because in the normal shape, you have like this pop filter that builds out, so you can't really get close enough.
No.
So I have hacked them. Some people know this already.
Oh, you cut them off?
Yeah, cut them off. Yeah. So that way I can get everywhere I want with it.
I have to try that.
And I also started to be, especially when I started to do these like IRs and stuff commercially. I really dug into that, and I got these Dynamounts, robotic microphone stands. Oh yeah,
over there.
Nice.
Something that I haven't over there.
There it is.
On a
cool.
stand.
Yeah. Oh, that's the version 1.
Yep.
I have like 9 of them now or something.
Oh, okay.
And so that way I've been able to really like scientifically dig into which the microphones that I prefer, and then I can save some settings and stuff.
Yeah.
So the SM7 together with the 57 I usually blend like 2, 3 or even 4
Do you
mics.
put the 57 straight in and the 7 straight in? Like how do you?
Yeah, I mean
you start there and.
Exactly. I usually start there as a base point, and then if I use the help of the Dynamount, I would actually like just inside. That's really important. When I craft my guitar sounds, I always do it inside the mix. If you only would be solo listening, then you're lost. And then I would like tweak it a little bit. It's always pretty much around the center. It could be a little bit off.
So it's more of about angling a little bit around it.
Angling and trying it out, where it works. And I try to go the extra mile every time I do this for a production. Yeah. Not just saying that, I usually prefer this, but I really try to rethink it every time because your taste change a little bit as well.
Absolutely.
Years, so.
I've actually never used my Dynamount.
All right.
It's just standing right there because I was. I got this from them, I think, many years ago. Well, so you said it's the first one. I was supposed to make a video. I still haven't. But it's right there, reminding me every day. No, but the thing is that just like you said, I record for YouTube videos, and a lot of people complain that I sound the same because I always stick the microphone at the same spot. So the thing that I did is that I just put it up there, just to make the freaking demo sound different, Yeah. But. I think I have to try. I want to try it out, but it's maybe a little bit scary. Is it with an app or what is it?
Yeah, app in the computer or the phone.
Okay.
But I would say that you should get a version 2 if you're gonna do it. Also, you don't have the X-axis there.
No, that's just side to side.
Yeah. So if you have the full-fledged version, it is really handy.
Okay.
But you could easily get into a rabbit hole. And since I usually say that your biggest enemy when you're mixing or producing is your brain. And by that I mean that the brain actively is always working to adapt to what it's hearing, right? So that's why you should be really careful about solo listening hi-hat, for example, or a bass.
Absolutely.
Because then you pop it up and everything sounds so dark or bright. So the same with guitar sounds. If you spend too much time on it, then chances are big that you're gonna fail. So it's good if you have the experience to get a sound really quickly. And then you could maybe rest from that, do something else, and then come back to it, and tweak further. So, but that's the good thing with the Dynamount though, because if you do have a few settings, you can save them, craft a new one, get a coffee, and come back, try a new one, and then do it. But the complexity grows if you have multiple microphones. Let's say that you have like 4 microphones, basically the combinations are endless. I should say that when I work with the Dynamount, I usually try to limit myself into using it for one microphone,
Yeah.
like the SM7 or the SM57.
Yeah.
And then I would place the other microphones just manually based on that and see if I can add something. I also use like I have a U67.
I have not.
It's amazing, microphone. It's from the 60s and it's so good for guitars. So I usually use that in as well to get a little bit more of that condenser beef and high end. And also like a Royer 121 is, classic good microphone.
Do you actually have a Royer 121?
Yeah, I have 4, I think.
Oh, holy shit. Because for me, it's like, okay, the Royer 121 is so expensive, so I'll just get the copy. Or the copies, because there's so many copies out there.
I didn't know.
And they're pretty good, Dude, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was a complete pleasure and a lot of good information. And I'm so happy right now. I'm gonna try that Dynamount just after this now.
Nice.
I got very inspired. Thank you so much.
Can we hug?
We can. I don't think I've ever hugged anyone on camera in here, but let's do it.